Hands down, my favorite part about the fantasy football offseason, man, the excitement leading up to the draft is finding those like deep hidden gem sleepers, man. Last season, I gave you guys Darnell, Mooney, Rashod, Bateman. Those were dudes that I was talking about all offseason, man. And this year, we're going to try to find a couple more hidden gems, man. These are players that I think could climb their depth chart, could end up being productive wide receivers for us. I got 3 wide receivers, as I mentioned. So make sure you save this video, man, add it to your fucking bookmarks, whatever you got to do. Add these players to queue as soon as the draft starts, man. I am Ron from Never Lucky. Let's hop into this video. And the first player we have on this list is Calvin Austin III, man. So this dude sneakily going under the radar as kind of the Steelers wide receiver 2 at the moment. So recently, offensive coordinator Zach Azani said that Calvin Austin is actually the team's number 2 wideout. Now, they do have Roman Wilson, who's kind of sitting in the wings, kind of, you know, everyone expected to be kind of a productive player for them. They drafted him with, pretty high draft capital last offseason. Doesn't do much last season as a rookie. Calvin Austin sneakily actually has a decent little year, man, on such super low volume. So I got his game logs here pulled up. He had a couple of big games, man. So for the most part, you'll notice a trend. The dude never gets more than like 6 targets. Most games he's getting like less than 2 targets, 3 targets. But he has a couple of games, man. Like in week 3 against the Chargers, gets 19 fantasy points, actually gets into the end zone there. Weeks 12 and 13 and 15 and 16 over 10 fantasy points, right? So 16, 10, 11, and 10 in those weeks, respectively. So, oh, and I almost forgot actually in week 8 against the Giants, he had another 20-point fantasy weeks where he got into the end zone again. So he was actually like decent for them. Like he didn't jump off the screen. He wasn't super involved, but he's a speedy little small receiver. He can stretch the field. And for a guy like Aaron Rodgers who likes throwing deep shots, dude, and actually taking shots down the field, at least he used to. I know last season for the Jets, Rodgers was kind of decrepit, but for the most part, I think Calvin Austin could emerge as like a sneaky little piece, dude. And if he's the wide receiver 2 for this team and he retains that role, that is a pretty decent value. I mean, just frankly, dude, at the end of the day, this late in a draft, like he's going, triple digits. You can get him like with the last pick of your draft. It's hard to find a dude who's seen as the wide receiver 2 for their team, right? So you kind of have to go with Calvin Austin. So that's the first guy on the list. This is ranked in descending order. So the last guy that I'm going to give you guys is like the one that I'm really trying to go after. So the next name on this list, and I was kind of debating whether he should be the last or not, is Jalen Naylor, man. So wide receiver 3 for the Vikings. Now, one very important thing. So just to give you paint the full picture, give you some context. He's the wide receiver 3 behind Justin Jefferson and Jordan Addison. Jordan Addison is currently having like trials and jury trials and shit about a previous DUI that he had. And he recently pled guilty to it. And he has a jury trial on July 15th for that DUI. So this is a super moving target. This is a developing story. By July 15th, we're going to have way more clarity on whether or not he's going to be found guilty. He can potentially get a suspension this season, which opens the door up for a guy like Jalen Naylor, right? So sneakily, Jalen Naylor had 6 touchdowns last season, pulling his game log up. Actually, pretty fucking solid, dude. So he starts the season with 10, 20, and 20 fantasy points. Kind of disappears for a game, 7 fantasy points. He goes 1 for 31. It's not horrible. I had fucking Cooper Cup, who was way worse. And then after the bye, comes out of the bye against Detroit with 20 fantasy points, then doesn't do anything for a huge part of the season, and then shows up again at week 17 with a 28-point burger. So Jalen Naylor, man, he's shown that he can make big plays. He can, he's a big yardage after the catch type of guy, a bigger receiver. He's bulked up a lot as well, supposedly. Like he's looking fucking yoked this offseason. I don't know if you guys are seeing like OTAs or training camp videos, but he has shown a lot of talent. He's going into his 4th year, I believe. And I think he can climb up this depth chart, man. So a couple of outs here. If there's any type of injury, he's in wide receiver 2 on one of the better passing offenses, right? The Vikings, we're excited, man. I don't usually tout wide receiver 3s on teams. I don't usually target dudes that are seen as like the 3rd wide receiver on their team. But if there's an Addison suspension or an injury, this dude instantly is like in my opinion, potentially a top 30 wide receiver. And you're getting him very late, right? You're getting him like in the wide receiver 90 rank. So I got him ranked a little bit higher. You guys can find my rankings and check it out. But Jalen Naylor, I'm excited about him. If you're in any type of best ball format too, he's a wet dream for best ball players because he has those explosion games, at any given week. So Jalen Naylor, somebody that I really love. The next player, the last player on this little list, is AD Mitchell, bro. Now, let me just say something, dude. If you're in any type of draft where you get points for being open and not getting the fucking ball, then you need to draft AD Mitchell at the 101, man. Check out this chart here by JR Fort Gang on Twitter. Great follow, by the way. It's essentially vertical routes separation here on the x-axis and vertically routes per or yards per out run on vertical routes. So are they getting open? And how many yards per route run are they getting? So how productive are they versus how open they are? And if you see here along the x-axis, our boy AD Mitchell, dude, is second in the NFL in getting open on vertical routes. The man just never gets the fucking ball. And if you don't believe me, man, we're going to pull up a little bit of AD Mitchell tape. All right, so we got some AD Mitchell tape here pulled up. It's just from Twitter. So AD Mitchell, little out route or fake out route, inside open, out and back open. Dude, that little outside in move, absolutely open, doesn't get the ball. Another inside out move, absolutely open, doesn't get the ball. AD Mitchell, dude, his entire highlight reel is just him getting open and just getting fucking absolutely left out to dry by his quarterback. So the man just gets open. He's extremely fast, extremely jittery. Had some issues with drops earlier on, like in the season. I mean, throughout the season, he had drop issues, but to me, that's coachable, right? Or that's fixable, right? You can fix a dude who can't, he's a rookie, right? If he's getting a lot of drops as a rookie, you have to give him the benefit of the doubt. You don't have to, but I will be giving him the benefit of the doubt. So I have another chart here pulled up also from Twitter. It is open uncatchable air yard percent. So a percent of their air yards, how much of them were uncatchable? AD Mitchell, in terms of open air yards, he's only at 614, so he's not near the top of the list, but 51% of them were uncatchable targets, man. Poor guy, dude. Number one in the NFL. This is also a good chart if you just want to, if you're in any type of best ball format, similar to Jalen Naylor, and you're looking for some like pop up games or, explosion games. These are the types of players you want to find, right? Like undervalued where they were getting open, but they just weren't getting good catchable targets because that's what you want in best ball. You want guys that can kind of explode on those like deep routes. So AD Mitchell, number one in the NFL, dude. And here's the thesis, right? So if it's Anthony Richardson, he loves throwing deep. He's pretty good at throwing deep usually. Um, then it's profit. I think AD Mitchell can improve. I think they can improve that chemistry over the offseason. We just need Anthony Richardson to obviously get healthy, right? We need that shoulder injury to work itself out. Additionally, if it's Daniel Jones, he's also a little bit more competent of a passing quarterback than Anthony Richardson. So we have a few outs here similar to Jalen Naylor. Richardson can improve. Daniel Jones can be an improvement. AD Mitchell can improve and, get a little bit better at catching those balls, dude. And I don't know, maybe commanding more targets. The issues with AD Mitchell obviously are that he's seen as like the wide receiver 4 for the team. Now, I disagree with that. I don't think Alec Pierce is going to remain ahead of him. He might start the season out ahead of him, but AD Mitchell is too talented, too fast for them to keep him off the field. They need to see what they have in him one more season, in my opinion. I hope that's the approach that they take with AD Mitchell. He's just too talented, man. He's somebody that I love in Dynasty. I love him in redraft as like a late dart throw, very similar to like a Darnell Mooney or a Rashod Bateman from last season, right? These are guys that are like down the field threats. They get open. They're great separators, right? They just haven't put it all together. So that's why I love AD Mitchell as a late target. And yeah, man, those are the three wide receivers. I have a couple of honorary mentions for you guys. The first of which is Pat Bryant. A little bit unimpressive of a college profile, but obviously he has a decent path to a starting role. He's the Denver Broncos wide receiver. Tutu Atwell, another one, a decent little dart throw. He could end up being the slot receiver for the Rams. And then there's Jordan Whittington, also wide receiver for the Rams. Not only can he command some like big slot targets and big slot production, he can also be kind of a rotation player with Puka and with Devontae Adams. He's a great run blocker and just like a good wide receiver in general. The little work he did get last season when Puka was on the shelf, he was actually pretty good, dude. I thought he could be like a nice little, again, late round wide receiver for the Rams that ends up being really good. I thought he was like the second coming of Puka. So those are three guys that are honorary mentions. There's probably tons more, dude. I'll probably release another video later on in the offseason about like deep sleeper wide receivers. So stay tuned for that, man. I hope you guys like this video. Yet again, I am Ron from Never Lucky. If you guys like this video, man, a like is the best way to show support while you're down there. And if you're new, hit me up with a subscribe, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.